Hey guys, welcome back to Spillage Studios. It is me, Patrick, and joined by Sam. Sam, if you want to introduce yourself to the audience again, if you know they're
Hello,
familiar with you.
hello. Yeah, hello, hello. Sam talks movies on TikTok, and I'm here to talk movies on YouTube. So,
Nice. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about some recent releases that we've seen, and there has been a ton since the last time we recorded the video. A ton of hot takes, at least I said, that were completely false, especially with Obsession, and I'm excited to talk about that, see if you know which one I'm referring to, referencing the box office. Um, but first, I wanted to start off by asking you, what's a movie recently that you've watched that's not necessarily a new release, but just a movie that you've watched that you want other people to go check out?
everyone should go watch Lady Snowblood. It is
Okay.
a 1973 Japanese revenge movie that if you've seen Kill Bill, honestly, if you've seen anything from Tarantino, you're gonna watch this movie, and I think you're gonna feel real differently about Tarantino and Kill Bill and a lot of his revenge movies. Because there is, well, first of all, it's an incredible movie. Looks insane. The story itself is pretty straightforward. It's this daughter of a woman who dies in prison because she was hunted down by this gang of people in Japan, and her daughter goes out to kill all of those people who basically led to her mother's death. And there's a lot of imagery in it that looks very similar to things you've seen in Kill Bill, and a few of those other sort of revenge movies. I was honestly kind of floored, like how similar the story and like not even just what was happening like story wise, but like visually, like there are exact shots that are in Kill Bill that are in Lady Snowblood and the movies from like 60 years ago. So,
Yeah. So I'm curious because I remember in Kill Bill, there's obviously that animated section in the film. I'm just curious, was
mm,
that is that the scene that you're referencing that was inspired by that movie?
yes, but there's also scenes throughout the rest of the movie,
Just
especially with
overall, it's
like
like very
just
inspired.
like
Yeah.
yeah, like the vibe is almost exactly the same. The setup is really similar. The I I say this I say this in probably not a complimentary way to Tarantino. I think there's homaging, and then there's like in when I was watching this, I was like, oh, this is lifting. This looks some of the especially the fight scenes where there's like insane blood being splurted out and stuff like it's almost it looks shot for shot like some of the stuff that you've seen in Kill Bill. Lady Blood is great though. Like on its own, right, it's great. And obviously I still love Kill Bill and the rest of them. But it was
Yeah.
hard to watch it and not think, wow, this is real similar.
Yeah, you know what? I just had a similar experience with another movie I just watched, and we were talking about this before we started recording, but the movie Cure. My buddy texted me, he's like, "Yeah, I think Longlegs is very inspired by Cure." And after watching it, I am like mind blown. Mind blown. It like there are some scenes I think that are almost like shot for shot the same,
Yeah.
and it's crazy that I feel like that movie was influenced so much by. I'm referring to Longlegs. I feel like that movie was so influenced by Cure that it almost, I don't think I can watch it again without thinking about the movie.
Now, and it makes it I feel like it's difficult when you see it, and again I do think there's like homaging, like people do, especially with this isn't the greatest example, but like Taxi Driver and Joker, people make that connection all the time, right? And just because of like the shots of New York City and like how it's lit and uh some of like some
Mental health
similar-ish themes,
aspects.
yeah, like but and where I'm not a fan of Joker as a movie, but
Me
I
too.
do think like yeah, like it does take it is like at least homaging those things where you're just kind of being reminded like, oh, okay, this is what it's pulling from, right? And then I think there's a difference of that and then being like, there's whole shots and shot compositions that look exactly like what I just watched.
Yeah,
It's hard, at least for me, it's hard to watch that and be able to be like, is this should I like this?
yeah,
Should I be okay with this? Because I'm like, I'm thinking, you're taking something old and recreating it or doing something a little bit different with it. And if if people like it or not is a whole separate thing. But like at the bare minimum, there's like something new there. And then you watch and you're like, I don't know. I didn't have that with necessarily Cure and Long Legs, though there are very
yeah,
similar um, uh, shots and story beats and stuff like it. But it, yeah, that's always in the back of my head when I'm seeing something and I'm like, I that looks that looks real similar. So it's always a little weird.
yeah, absolutely. I think even when you're like an aspiring filmmaker too, and like writing your own scenes, you kind of have like those, those back thoughts that are just like, for me personally, like if I see a really cool scene in a movie, I'm just like, man, this would be so cool if I could like take a spin on this and like write it into my own like short or feature or something like that. And but I feel like with these movies, it takes a lot of like those, those plot elements too. And especially for like Joker, like you said, or like Long Legs, like those, when I look at those movies and now that I watch like Cure and obviously Taxi Driver, one of my favorite movies I've seen plenty of times. Yeah, I was not a big fan of Joker either, by the way.
Nah,
I never understood the hype for that movie.
I felt like I was on an island. I went to go
Yeah.
see it with a friend, my girlfriend, and two of our friends, and it was a packed theater, and everyone walked out of it and they're like, "It's the greatest movie I've ever seen. I loved it," and this and that. And I was just sitting there like, I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
Um,
It
I
was
did
not for
not.
me either.
Yeah, I was like, after the only positive thing I could say was that I thought Joaquin was good, but I also was like, I don't know how to reconcile that with I hate everything that this movie is doing. So it's like
And
great
the second one, I didn't
performance.
even bother seeing. I don't know if you've seen the second one yet.
I have, and it was I would say it was slightly more enjoyable, strictly in the sense that Todd Phillips, is that his name? Am I making
Yeah,
that?
Todd
That's his name,
Phillips.
right? Todd
Yeah.
Phillips, right? That Todd Phillips obviously was like, oh, you guys took all the wrong lessons from this, and it's kind of just the movie flipping off those people for like 2 hours. So that's why I say it's just a little bit more entertaining. That like, oh,
Yeah.
he also didn't want people taking what they took from this, and now I mean we're all kind of dealing with the repercussions of it. But yeah, it's not very good. I mean, it doesn't do. I like musicals, and it seems so disinterested in the songwriting, in the actual like musical numbers. Lady Gaga's somehow wasted in it, and most of it is spent in like Arkham Asylum. Like it's most of the movie is spent
Yeah.
there, if not the entirety of it, and it just kind of meanders for a lot of the movie, and then the end happens, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess. And spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Joker 2,
But man, you're really
it
gonna bum out some people.
yeah, like it ends with
You got
Arthur getting
sport. You
stabbed.
got Joker 2 spoiled for them.
Yeah, Joker
Oh
2
man.
spoilers. If you haven't seen it yet, Arthur gets stabbed and the real Joker arises, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll be honest. I saw that headline before I even watched the movie, and that's what made me definitely not even bother watching it. I mean, I was just like, this is the most like pointless waste of time. Not even worth watching. It's just
Yeah,
I don't know what was going on with some of those creative decisions, but
no,
yeah,
I always say to people, I'm never gonna tell somebody not to go watch something because I'm like, you should watch it and maybe you'll like it. You can decide for yourself. But there's a better way to spend your 2 hours
Just
than
don't watch
watching.
Joker 2.
Yeah, like go watch literally anything
Anything
else.
but Joker 2. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight a movie I watched recently for the first time, and I also want to highlight another movie that came out this year that I did not enjoy, and I'm curious
Hmm,
to see if you enjoyed it. So two of them. The first movie being Thelma, which is a
okay.
2017 Norwegian film. I'm going to pronounce the name wrong. It's directed by Joachim Trier, director of Sentimental
Oh,
Value. This
okay.
movie, this movie blew me away. It is a queer horror psychedelic drama, I guess is the best way to describe it. And the only reason I wanted to bring it up before we talk about some new releases is because it feels in the same vein as Leviticus, which we'll talk about later on. But I wanted to shout that out because it is a phenomenal film, and if you guys have not seen it, I highly recommend it. It's on Mubi, so if anyone has Mubi out there, go check it out. And another movie I wanted to highlight was Adventureland, the 2009 Kristen Stewart and Jesse Eisenberg rom com. I loved this movie so much. I never watched it before, and this was my first time watching. I thought it was very charming, fun, and I just think those two like have such an amazing chemistry. I had a amazing time, watching that movie. I saw it come up on some posts, and I was like, you know what? I've never watched Adventureland, but I'm finally gonna go around to it, and yeah, it did not disappoint. Um, and then a movie I was disappointed by recently that came out this year, and then I'm ashamed to admit it, but I turned it off halfway through, and I'm also ashamed because I do like her music too. Maybe I'm giving this away a little bit, but The Moment was on HBO, and I finally got around to watching it. Was not for me.
Oh no. Not the moment. I Well, first on the two that you mentioned, I have not seen Thelma. Didn't even know Joaquin had done like a sort of like horror film, so I just added that to my watch list right now.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely check that out. And the other one was Adventureland that you
Yes.
mentioned. Yeah, Adventureland I haven't seen in a long time, and I remember really liking it the first time I watched it. So
Yeah.
maybe that
It
needs
was an
to get
absolute
added to.
blast. So I highly recommend. I highly recommend both of those, but especially Thelma. Thelma, because when I heard it was like a queer horror movie by the same guy that made Sentimental Value, I was like, there is no way. Like this is a real thing. I was like, there's no way. And I went on movie, and lo and behold, it's there. And I watched it, and it's one of those movies too that like every 5 minutes something's happening to keep your interest. And whether you're a person that doesn't really watch as much foreign films or not, I think this movie's still gonna be pique your interest. Because I know some people just don't. I know some people like have a tough time watching foreign films, just because of the subtitles and everything. I know that for some people it's either hit or miss. But if you really want to watch a good foreign movie, this is one I highly recommend.
Yeah, and whatever Bong Joon-ho said, just it's just a little bit of 4 inches of
That's it.
subtitles, it's worth it. I promise you it's worth it. We have a reading comprehension problem in this country, If you want to get some reading in, just
Good way to
just start
learn
reading
too.
yeah, start reading some subtitles. Now, I'm going to be checking out Thelma.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Trier generally. So the oh, sorry, my letterbox screen went black. What am I going to do? My letterbox. I don't know what I've
Oh
watched.
no.
I'm glad you brought up Leviticus though,
Yeah.
because if Thelma's anything like that, then that is going to
Yes.
pique
I
my
I think they're
interest.
in the same vein of, how do I word this, into religious homophobia. They're
Okay.
both into those. They both have similar themes. Now, I
Okay.
think Leviticus, the setting's like obviously a little different. I think that's more like Southern Gothic,
Hmm.
which again we'll talk about more once we get into new releases. But like I said, they're into the same vein of like a supernatural entity, uh, taking forms of what they like desire. So they're both into that like same realm a little bit.
Okay. Well, that has my interest peaked. It's been the month, the last 2 months, I guess. It's been the month and a half of horror
Yeah.
over here.
And oh, sorry. Were you a fan of the moment?
I was a fan of the moment. I've been on a little bit of a
Okay.
Charlie XCX kick.
Yeah, I love her
She was
music,
also
but I don't know. There's
the
something about the mockumentary style. I think that, and I necessarily don't have an issue with those type of movies, but for some reason it like didn't resonate with me as much as I thought it would, and I was really excited for the
Mhm.
movie too.
Did I was gonna ask, did you also see she had another movie come out this year? I
I
cannot
had
pronounce the
it's
name
like
of it.
Euruptia or something like that.
Yeah,
I haven't
in the
seen it yet.
language that it's in is it means eruption. I can't pronounce the actual word, and I need to look up the correct one. So uh, I won't butcher it here, but I think I think what interested me about the moment and then Europshika, I think that's correct.
Called Eruption.
It's a eruption. I think the thing about both of them is I was really surprised when I watched the moment, like how good Charlie XCX is. Because
Yes.
I think, well, has she been in anything else besides
Faces of Death for like two
for
seconds.
yeah, for like a hot second. But like I felt like the moment was the first time we get to see her like really act, like have to like I think there's two moments in the mo there's two moments in the moment
My
where
favorite of the
I would
moment are the two moments in the moment.
it's, they
Was the moment when
there's there's two scenes where she I think she's like driving back or she's driving to go to like the vacation thing that she got access to or whatever, and um she's like really stressed, and she's talking to her manager and her manager's just not listening, and like then she kind of just stops talking, and like everything in her face she kind of just goes from this like you see the stress come through, you see like how lost she feels, how indecisive she feels and everything. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm getting all of that just from her. And like to your point, I saw it twice, and first time was in theaters, second time was when it came on streaming. And I definitely felt the second time through like movie felt like it was kind of moving through the motions a little bit. But I think just strictly as like a Charlie XCX vehicle of like, okay, she can act. We should put her in more things.
yeah, I almost feel like
Like,
this was kind of her audition tape. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I feel like this is her
yeah,
first. This is her. I mean, this is like her movie, but it's also a movie that can get her more roles. Like she has some. She has like a bunch of roles this year. To be honest, She's in uh I Want Your Sex from Greg Araki. She's in Faces of Death. She has some other small roles this year. But I really feel like this was her audition to show other investors, producers, filmmakers, like, hey, I can act, I can be in your movie, and I'm going to take it seriously.
hmm
Because I
yeah,
think
yeah,
with big pop stars like that, you have this initiative to think, okay, they're just going to be, when you see a big pop star in a movie, you're just like, okay, that's Charlie Puth. Why I used him as an example, I don't know, but that's Charlie in the movie, rather than okay, this is a role Charlie is playing in the movie. And I think this, like I said, I think she did a tremendous job into showing that she's serious about acting and that she wants to have more roles for the future. And this could definitely, land her some, some good roles from filmmakers coming up.
I hope so. I hope so, because I think the moment, and also, and I looked it up now, it says it's Arupsia. That's how you pronounce it,
Yeah.
apparently.
Okay.
Arupsia. She in that movie is like requiring her to like do more because I feel like the moment's a little bit easier because she obviously lived it, right? It's
Playing
based off,
herself.
yeah, she's basically playing herself, and there's I think the expectation's also a little bit lower because she's playing herself. It's just like, oh, okay, well, that it still needs to be compelling, right? Like she still needs to sell those scenes where
Yeah.
like it feels very similar to like a Softy Brothers movie where like it's just kind of supposed to be ratcheting up the tension. Like the concert's not going to go well. Nobody knows what they're doing. She doesn't know what she wants, and it's just kind of building, 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 and like that still needs to be sold, but like in Arupsia, it's not really the case. It's like a uh her and her boyfriend like go to Warsaw where like she's from originally, and she meets up with one of her like old friends that she was really close with, and the whole like concept of it is that every time they see each other, like her and her friend, a volcano erupts and something bad happens. And it's like, there's just there's a lot less plot wise happening. Like there's a lot less, I would say, story wise happening. It's very much like her reconnecting with this friend and not necessarily knowing what she wants to do with her life. And like I had like this the same feeling. I was like, the fact that she is selling this is incredible. Like I, I think she does a lot of. I mean, she acts. I was gonna say she does a lot of facial work, but like there's so much coming through in her performance without her having to like really deliver any lines that it at least stuck with me. And it could also just be that it's a movie about she doesn't know what she wants with her life and stuff. And I'm like, you know, every time I think I'm having a quarter life crisis, I feel like I watch a movie where I'm like, yeah, see, they get it. I'm like,
You
this
see,
thing is speaking to me.
if Charlie gets it, I get it.
Get it? It's like she's just like me.
Yeah. I maybe for me it was just like the wrong time, wrong place viewing experience, but I'll definitely have to like check it out again.
Yeah, I like I said though, I could see I don't know if I would like casually put it back on again. The second time I watched it was my girlfriend hadn't seen it yet, so and she was like, okay, she's like, oh, I want to see it, let's put it on. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit of even the runtime this on
Yeah.
this viewing experience, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah, that's never, you know, I hate to admit it, but there's like some movies where, maybe I'll view the runtime before I watch the movie and I'll take just a quick glance at the clock. Maybe halfway through, I'm like, all right, we only got like 45 minutes left. Okay, put it back down. Not saying I do that all the time, but it's never a good sign when you when you do that during the movie. Um, Now I want to talk about some of the, I guess, the big releases so far. Before we recorded the last video, we were discussing a bunch of movies that were, horror releases that are upcoming, and we've seen a bunch of those. And obviously, our last video we talked about Backrooms, so if you guys want to go check that out, it's just our previous video. We discuss Backrooms, so spoiler alert, we do talk about spoilers in that review. But the first one I wanted to talk about is the big one, and the one I just want to tell a quick story about is Obsession. And I don't know if you remember in our last video, I said Obsession is going to be overshadowed in the box office. And it's just hilarious because it ended up like doing phenomenal, breaking all these records, and honestly, even going up to par with Mandalorian and Grogu. And I think I jokingly said it might beat out Mandalorian and Grogu. I was just joking at the time, but it's hilarious that it actually like might might end up beating Mandalorian and Grogu. But that's
Yeah.
just a fun tidbit I wanted to first talk about. Um, yeah, I have no other words than this movie to me is a masterpiece. I would even go as far to say it is the Indy Navarrete has one of the best all-time horror performances. Curry Barker is incredible. He's phenomenal. He deserves all the upcoming directing gigs he's getting. Yeah, I've no other words to really say about this movie other than it's a masterpiece, and I'm just completely blown away every single time I hear in the news every week that it's breaking some new record after another.
Yeah, I feel similarly. I first time I saw Obsession, theater wasn't super packed. It was the Thursday before it came out. I think I also said in our last video that I was like, it's going to be tough because Mando's coming out
In this gauntlet, man. It's
and Backrooms is going to be there and people are going to flock to that and that's going to make a ton of money and it has. It obviously has. But I did not think it would, I don't think anyone thought it would take this kind of life of its own, even though obviously horror always kind of does well at the box office, but not like this. Not in this way. Not in, with Obsession, I was really just blown away of how something that could have, I think, very easily fallen into some misogynistic tropes of like crazy girlfriend and leaning into it or not really positioning like the POV for the audience as like that being bad, but maybe even leaving those like elements to be vague. Because and it's interesting because my first and second viewing experience of Obsession were very different, at least in terms of like
Yes,
how
I'm glad you
the
said that because my second viewing, I spent more time on my second viewing picking up on the small tropes.
hmm
Like for example, in one of the beginning scenes when you hear Bear crying over the cat.
yeah.
The first viewing, I'm like, okay, he's crying over the cat, obviously. If you watch the second time, he's actually crying over Nikki in the beginning scene. And it's just like small tidbits like that that just makes this movie so clever and work
Yeah.
so well. And it's like almost every single time you view the movie, like rewatch it, you pick up on new things. It's so clever. Like it's crafted very clever. And I think that's honestly where it shines the most.
Well, that and in terms of like the viewing experience too, like the first time my theater, I wouldn't say there was almost no laughter throughout the movie for the most part, even during like some of the scenes that I do think are kind of objectively funny, where he's trying to go to the his friend's party and
The
Nikki's in
boys'
the
night.
bath. Yeah, it's just I think I'm just gonna go by myself. I think that'd be better. And she starts screaming, and then he's like, no, you can come. And she goes, okay. I think some of those things I genuinely are just objectively funny. But the my first theater experience though, especially like the first night she wakes up and is like watching him sleep, and even like the brief moments where she like comes back or like real Nikki comes through in in the moment where like she's outside the car talking to him or when they're right before they're about to have sex like she like goes what the fuck like what is this first time that happened it it was not everyone in the theater was kind of like oh shit okay this is not cool. This is not okay. Second theater experience though, there was a lot of laughter. I would say like throughout the whole thing. Like even during some of the scenes that I thought were just genuinely like horrifying for Nikki, because like obviously there I think what makes Obsession work so well is that there's never a moment where you necessarily feel sympathy for Bear, right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I may empathize with the fact that like the situation sucks, but it's entirely of his own making, like, but there's never a moment throughout where you're like, oh, Bear, you know, I feel bad for Bear, or I'm gonna root for Bear. It's like no, from the very moment he makes the wish.
Yeah.
And like you said, even before that, where like he's not really crying over his cat, even though I mean, his cat dying is entirely his fault too. Because I don't like that's like that just as someone who has a cat and who takes medication, even if they knocked it over, it's not like that's not something that can happen, you know?
Yeah. And you know what? I'm kind of what I picked up on a lot on the second viewing is kind of the initial, like the true intentions that Bear had. And I think that dinner
Hmm.
scene is actually very important because he gets onto the phone and he's talking to Ian, and Ian's like, hey, like her dad actually doesn't have cancer. I think that's his moment of realization when he asks Nikki, oh, does your dad actually have cancer? And she goes, no, 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 no. And then like starts screaming. I think that's his realization of like, oh shit, this works. I can do whatever I want now with her. And I
Yeah.
think that is the initial, I think before obviously Bear had like some like vile intentions, but I think that dinner scene is the initial marker of making Bear the true villain to the audience. And I picked up a lot on that on the second viewing,
Yeah,
especially too
and
with the hard cut right after the dinner scene.
oh,
Yeah,
like the first time I had the same experience because the first time I was like I I never felt any kind of way for Bear at all, but the first time I was like, well, maybe he doesn't really know until a little bit after
no,
the car scene when he calls the customer service
yeah,
number, you know, and I'm like, I could maybe see a world where his character in that world that his character in that world is really just thinking, maybe this didn't work, you know, maybe she's just having a mental break or whatever. But then on second watch, that dinner scene is very clear cut.
it's
It is
very dark
very
the second time you watch it,
yeah, it is very straightforward.
and
It
yeah,
yeah, it's like, oh, he does not okay. Yeah, he does not care at all.
yeah,
He knows exactly what's happening, and honestly, for a later scene in the movie when things have already been escalating for him and Nikki, and it's right after the party, and Sarah texts him, and she's like,
yes,
"Oh yeah, hey, I'm gonna come over if you don't come out here," and not even just the scene where real Nikki comes out and is like, "Kill me, please. Like, it's never been me. You've never been with me." And he says, the line that everyone now references, like, "What's so bad about being with me?" And it's like, Jesus Christ. What's worse, I think, on what makes that worse is that he goes to see Sarah knowing full well the consequence. Like, Nikki is going to find him.
yeah,
And I love that scene because it when they're talking in the car, just for like a second, I forgot that Nikki is like, or possessed Nikki is definitely gonna come out at some point. But you forget about it for a second because it's like, oh, I don't know if I got into, the college yet or stuff, and oh, I don't know if I was able to do this, and I was on your left, and for a brief moment, you just forget that, like, oh yeah, we're in a horror movie. Nikki's gonna show up, and then the big scene
yeah.
happens.
Dude, when I saw that just the other week on my Wednesday night showing, and just for reference, I was telling Sam before we started recording this, I went on a Wednesday, so I saw it twice. The second viewing I saw just like this past week, and it was completely sold out on a Wednesday. People had to bring bean bags into the theater, which I've never seen before, to have enough seating because there wasn't enough seats in the theater,
It's crazy.
and our theater was like just erupting during every scene possible. And I just remember during that scene where Nikki crashes right through the window. Our entire theater just like erupted in like a unison scream. Unison scream. It was awesome. It was great. Great theater experience. I know there's a bunch of bad theater etiquette going around right now, but shout out to the people that saw Obsession last Wednesday. You guys were great. Um, and there's another scene too when it's I believe it's after the party, and Bear is talking to Nikki, and he's like yelling at her like, just be the real Nikki, just be the real Nikki. And she repeatedly says, I can be anything what you want besides the real Nikki. And I know what I really appreciate about Obsession, it wasn't the typical demonic possession movie too. And it could have easily fell down those routes, but I think Curry Barker was very clever with the way he wanted to um I guess like personify this entity, and
Yeah.
that's what I really appreciated about the movie. It wasn't your typical demonic possession. It was, and I know in interviews he said he didn't want it to be like that typical those typical roots. So he wanted to really personify the entity in its own vein a little bit, and just that scene alone just kind of proves the like intentions of what this entity is. It's not anything that's good or evil. It's just something that Bear wished upon, and yeah, that was just a really great scene for me, memorable scene on my second viewing.
Well, and the when he calls the customer service line and it's Curry Barker's voice responding back to him, which is hard for me not to hear the first time. I was like, that's him, right? That's definitely him. But when he calls and the guy kind of says to him, like, it seems like you have a moral responsibility to be with her because that's like the right thing to do
Yeah,
because this is what you wanted, like this is what you wished for. It, yeah, I really liked it not devolving into like, okay, there's a way to get this demon out of Nikki. It's like, oh no, you have to die. If you want this to be done, you actually just need to die. And
yeah, just
that's
like the guy at
that's
the spiritual story. Just kill yourself. I'm just spitballing ideas.
yeah, like, and it really reinforces Bear's selfishness because
Yeah,
he waits for the absolute worst possible scenario, which is Sarah dies, Ian gets
and
shot in the
honestly,
head.
he's at fault for killing Sarah, whether you like it or not. And
Yeah,
she even
yeah.
says that she's like, this is all your fault. I was like, that's just another thing. Like I picked up on the second time watching. I'm like, oh man, Bear, you're. I don't know why there's any discourse about this movie of who the true victim of obsession is. Like, man, it's
Yeah,
just clear as day.
and some of the discussion that I have seen that I think is more legitimate than the who's the real victim, because that's just I don't
Insane.
that's a comprehension problem to me because I'm like this movie goes out of its way
Yeah.
to show that Bear is not a victim here. Okay. But the some of the things I have seen, I'd be interested to hear what you think. I've seen some folks. I can't remember their names now. I think it was out of like a New York Times podcast interview. We're talking about like how they watched Obsession and thought it was a great, first debut and an effort, but there was like a lack of curiosity of the like this entity and like Bear making a choice to like take away Nikki's agency, that like the film doesn't really go there in terms of like exploring those themes and what that means for Nikki and what that means, I guess, for their characters and like the broader world, which like I can kind of see maybe um like a lack of curiosity and like maybe taking the idea further. Because like I do think Barker kind of just takes the idea to its natural conclusion,
Yeah.
right? We find out very early that okay, it worked. The only way Bear can get out of it is by killing himself, and that's it. Like that is that's what ends up being the movie. And Bear doesn't believe it, but then everything that kind of happens afterwards is reinforcing the idea of like of what we've been introduced to, that the only way you can get out of it is if you're dead, or um, you decide to just live with this thing forever and what you did. And like I can kind of see that, but I'd be interested if that at all came through on any of the watches for you.
I'm I'm more also curious. I was watching an interview also with Curry Barker, and he said there's a way to beat the One Wish Willow. And you know, I don't necessarily think it was like a bad idea what Curry Barker did of just going straight to the moment of what the One Wish Willow does. I think it's pretty straightforward. They don't really waste much time. They don't really dive into too much of like the theoretics behind it. I don't necessarily think it hurts the movie at all that they don't dive into much of those aspects. In fact, I think it kind of does the opposite effect for me. Um, I like that it was very straightforward. We don't know too much about it because I think also when you put too much detail into a movie, it kind of waters it down a little bit. Um, and I could have, I can see that in this movie. Like if they went into more of the aspects of how the one wish flow works, how do you beat it necessarily? Like actually diving into the tropes of how you like really beat it, not just like the silly things like the spiritual guy saying at the store. Um, I think that can water it down a little bit and make it more, um, just more, follow the typical like horror tropes a little bit. So I kind of like the direction that they went with this of making it more, um, mysterious of how it actually works and kind of, at the end, everyone just kind of going to shit a little bit. I think that really
Well,
works for the movie.
yeah, and that generally speaking, that's kind of where my brain
Yeah.
was too, because it's also the other thought that I had when I was thinking about this a little bit more was like, do we want like does Curry Bucker want to explore that? And then B, do we think in his first debut in a movie that was made for under $1 million on a very tight budget, fast shoot, like do we think he's going to be equipped to explore some of those things in that first feature? And I like it has nothing to do with like his ability, right? It's just like a reality of like this is the story that he wanted to tell. This is the vision that he had, and he executed it. And I think like anything more probably comes with like, okay, maybe some of those bigger swing because to me that sounds like a bigger swing. That sounds like a different kind of horror movie that we'd be getting, like
Yeah,
an
absolutely.
exploration. Yeah,
I
like
think it
I
kind of swings the whole perspective a little bit because it's like, because then I think you get some like ethical and moral issues when you have
mhm.
that Bear now knows how to stop this, and you kind of switch the plot to he's instead of not knowing like not instead of like a okay we're all fucked situation, it's more of a okay how this is how we get out of it. And now you're following Bear through like different ideas of how he's going to get out of this situation versus him just going through the consequences of the wish.
Yeah, yeah. So all right, I think final what was our final obsession rating?
I listen. I don't give this much, but for me it's 10 out of 10. It is going to be as a horror lover, as a Curry Barker lover, as a now huge Michael Johnson and Indy Navarrete fan. This movie to me is a 10 out of 10. I really hope Indy gets some nomination buzz this year. It's going to be very tough, and for me, I don't need to see another performance this year to think she, for me, if I was the committee, I would hand it to her already. But I know we got to sit through and watch all the other movies. But yeah,
Well, I think yeah, that's I think for me, if I'm doing it out of 10, I would say probably I'm like leaning anywhere from like 8.5 to 9 out of 10. Which but for our letterbox users out there, it's out of 4.5. So it out of five.
give it
It
five
yeah,
stars.
it's definitely it's one of my favorite movies from this year, and it also Indy Navarrete is incredible. I think regardless of how folks feel about the film and what it does or what it doesn't do, Indy is fantastic. And if the last couple of years have shown anything, and I love Amy Madigan in Weapons, I think it's a good performance. But if we've gotten certain nominations in the past, I don't see why we wouldn't get something with Indy. And apparently, Focus Features feels the same way because apparently they're going to put money behind an Oscar campaign. So we shall see. And it should help because the Oscar voters, as we all know, are lazy. And they only usually vote for things that they've seen in theaters. And presumably, because this movie is still making like $15 million in its fifth weekend, um, a lot of people have seen it, which means a lot of people have seen Indy. and that performance. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I I'm the same way. I'm hoping at least for the least a nomination. That would be really cool. I will probably just stop watching movies if she ends up winning. I probably will.
You
Um,
heard it here first. Indy's winning the Oscar, and we're
that's our
stopping
prediction,
podcasts every.
our early 2027 prediction. Uh, but no, she's gonna have to go through a gauntlet of performances this year. So um, yeah. So next, I wanted to talk about. I guess we can go straight into. We'll skip Mandalorian and Grogu, unless you really wanted to. I know you're itching to talk
Nah,
about it, but
yeah, I love me
we've
my
talked about that enough on this channel.
yeah, I'll only say this. Not a fan. Not a fan. I
It's on
could
record,
just
not a
yeah.
fan.
On that's those are my thoughts. Beginning, middle, and end. Not a fan.
Um, and I know you haven't had a chance to talk about Backrooms, so I'll let you kind of talk about it because we obviously did an entire hour-long podcast about Backrooms. Um, but I'll kind of tell you what I thought. Um, I really enjoyed it. For me, the first two-thirds of it were like a 9 out of 10. Dinner scene happens, and I think it loses a lot of the focus that it was building. And for me, it kind of shifted more towards like a 7.5, 7 out of 10. I think that third act really hurts the movie. I think the entity hurts the movie a little bit. Um, but I really enjoyed the first two-thirds of the movie. I think the performances are great. Um, Especially the actor. I'm gonna pronounce his name wrong, but it's the actor that plays Clark.
Mm,
I wish we saw more of him. I wish they didn't. Spoiler alert. I wish they didn't kill him off in this movie because he
yeah,
for me was really the strong point in this movie, and I love. It might be one of my favorite scenes this year of the first time he visits the back rooms, and you get like this 15-minute
yeah.
long sequence of him just like, oh, dude, it's
It's
amazing.
it's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it's funny. I feel similarly. I in terms of like how I felt about the movie, I feel similarly,
yeah,
but for different reasons. The I agree. Like for me, I love the first like 30 minutes when we're getting to know Clark and Mary's character, their dynamic. I think like the therapy session and scene that they do together is fantastic.
yeah.
Like
It's great.
it's like I think it's the best written piece in Backrooms because the rest of the movie that they're just not a lot of that dialogue is stilted and
Yeah,
like they're all good actors. Like Chiwetel's a good actor, Renata's a good actor. I can't remember his two employees' names,
can't
which is
remember either.
probably because they're not. I mean, we don't know anything about them, right? Like we know that they're his employees, and that's that. That's really all we know. Um, like I loved that first therapy session scene with them, and like I would say similar to you, like everything to when we get into the back rooms, I was on board with, and then once we're in the
Yes.
back rooms, I was like, I'm digging this a lot. I wasn't necessarily like creeped out or anything, but I was like fully engrossed in the back rooms and him exploring all of these weird and different
Dude, it's
things.
one of those movies you just sit back and you're just like
And
sitting in the theater just staring at this thing and you're just like, okay, this is what
and
I
like
came
you're
to go
walking
see.
yeah, and like you're walking in there with him. And
Yeah.
I think I said this in on my personal review, like I wanted to like be in the room with him. Like
Yeah.
that's how good it was. I was like, this is great. And it wasn't the dinner. I really like the dinner scene, like, but I like it independent of what then happens afterwards.
Yes.
Because like
I think that's what hurts it.
Clark, yeah, like it's a great scene. Like I like that scene. I like the idea where like he's like pulling apart these the creatures in there and he's like, "Oh, you can eat them," because he's been in there so long and his mind is kind of fracturing a little bit. Like that's interesting. But it's everything that happens leading into that. And then to your point, everything that happens right after that, where like
Yeah.
it all becomes very literal, and I'm like, I narratively okay, like this is the literalized version of his fractured mind. Okay, but it does turn into like a creature feature in the final like
Yeah.
15 minutes. And like because we don't really know a lot about Mary's character, and she's really not given a lot to do after that
Yeah, that's
therapy
what kind
session.
of I was saying that in my review too. I think that kind of hurts the movie too, that we don't get as we really only get like two sequences of Mary. In the beginning, we
Yeah.
see some of her therapy with Clark, and then we also get a little bit about her background, not much, and then we really only get the third act. That's it.
Yeah, and yeah,
That's really it.
and she goes after Clark, and even when like she's looking for Clark, I didn't really even feel the tension there. Like I was like, are
Yeah,
they like really close? Like is she like obviously they've been doing sessions for a little bit of time. At least that's I think the implication from their first session. Um,
you know
like
what? I do
it,
like. I do like when she's on the. This is kind of going back to the dinner scene, but I do like when she finally like lets loose.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was
Like
kind of a good scene, though. I
I
was
was
like,
like,
all right,
that's
yes, this is what we wanted.
that-
This is what we
we got
wanted.
some personality there. I
That's
was
some
like,
personnel.
oh, I and like again, it sucks.
You're not lying though.
Yeah, like the script I thought was really really rough. After we get like some really great sequences with both of them, and it like when we're getting like the flat like and even in the beginning when we're getting those flashbacks with her living with her mom, and it's like I thought it was implied that her mom may have like been in the back rooms or seen it, and that's why she was like so like, no, you can't go out there
Yeah.
because they're gonna come after you, and because she had seen and I don't know I'm not a big lore person with back rooms generally, but the things that live within the back rooms, those
I just
creatures
call
that
them
are there.
anomalies or entities, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I was like really I was just interested. Like all of that was really interesting to me. And I just honestly I wish the movie was kind of just more like that. Because the thing I really did not like at all, that kind of like soured it a little bit for me at the end is when like the she meets the scientists or whoever is studying it.
Mark
And,
Duplass.
yeah, and I love Mark
Yeah.
Duplass, but
Oh,
like
he's awesome.
we
Yeah.
but like we get to them and they're like, yeah, we've been studying the back rooms for decades or for years, and we don't know what it is, and it's all exposition. It's just like here's a little bit of explanation to this thing that you just watched, and the movie felt like it just stopped. I was
Yes.
like, oh,
I'm so glad you said that. That was my exact thoughts. I remember I walked out of the theater. I was like, "Is that it?
yeah,
Like that cannot be
yeah,
the ending." Which it kind of felt sequel baity a little bit.
it felt like that felt like a studio and A24 inserting themselves a little bit and being like, hey, we need to get people excited a little bit here
Yeah.
because that indicates, oh, there's other backrooms, and like if you know the lore, there's multiple levels and this only explored one level, right? So like there's there's way more places to explore
Yeah. There's
and
also
stuff, and I'm
another
like,
really good scene when they're talking about the backrooms and it's that one scene where it pans down to different floors.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really, that was a great scene. But again, they don't really cap off on any of that stuff.
No, they
They
don't
just
really
tease
do
it a little
anything with
bit.
it. And I just if we were gonna do a movie on like because I talked about this in a separate video where like there's like an interesting I think idea or critique of AI in backrooms where like the backrooms is just mimicking things, right? And so like and Clark, who is obviously at the bare minimum emotionally and mentally unwell. He's in a failing relationship. He's not at home. His therapy sessions aren't going well. He isn't able to be the person he wants to be. Then he finds this place where he doesn't need to be anything. He can just be and and he says this in the movie, he can just be his sort of fucked up self, and
Yeah.
there's no expectation, there's no anything. He can just descend into his fractured mind, and I think I just kind of wish the movie like stayed with that more of like we are watching him descend further and further,
Yes.
and then his therapist, either through because they have such a strong personal relationship or because she deeply cares about her patient, goes in to try and bring him back, and maybe comes to the realization that she does in the movie that like why you can't get better, it's because you're fucked up, there's nothing I can do, you don't want to change, right? I can't
Yeah.
change you if you don't want to change. And like I feel like that scene would have had more of like a because like you said, I loved it when she said, because I was like, ah, there she is, there's something, you know. But like narratively or emotionally, I was just kind of like, okay, now things are gonna kick off
Yeah.
because he's gonna get pissed, and then we get introduced to Pirate Clark. And
You know what's
um
funny? We when we were reviewing doing our review, I said this same exact thing. I was like, this movie could have really upgraded if Clark spent more time in the back rooms. It felt too quick of a switch. I kind of wish
well,
they took the route of he's into the back. Like maybe this movie could have they could have switched it around like a little bit where you have Clark obviously stuck in the back rooms, but he's spending some time there and he's getting used to like the nature of it, rather than this quick initial switch that he's like, okay, I belong here all of a sudden. I wish there was more of a translation of he's being like his mind is being corrupted a little bit. And
yeah,
he's
because
having this
it
realization versus all we really see is him getting captured, or it insinuates to that a little bit. And then you have maybe it could have been Mary's like Clark hasn't been to therapy sessions in a while. She's finally gonna go check it out, and maybe it could have been like an exploration of her like trying to find Clark in the backgrounds. I don't know. There's many different. Now I'm just like theorizing a little bit, but there's many different scenarios you could have taken the script and I think upgraded, like leveled it up a little bit. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel like A24 had a little bit of an influence, and you can
yeah
feel it in that
it
third act.
yeah
Because
the
I don't know
third
how
act
much of
is
that
where
Kane Parsons. I don't know. I feel like even
he
though
also
he's
didn't
like
write the
20 years
movie though.
old, he didn't,
Yeah.
which is a critique I made before because I was like, oh, this movie feel like it's not a critique, but more so an observation. But this movie feels like a 20-year-old directed it, and I was like, but then I saw he didn't write it, and I saw now he's looking for a new writing partner. I don't know if you saw that. He's looking for a new
Well,
writing partner for the second one.
I saw that news drop, and I forget who reported it or if it was actually from a report. And then he went on to a podcast and said that he's not looking for anyone right now. Like they're not even discussing a sequel. So I don't know if that was him just playing cleanup or if, you know, they if he's like conscious of the fact that like it has been something that's been brought up in at least some of the reviews I've read and watched, that like people are giving him sort of kudos of like, listen, it's directed well, but the script is just kind of like it doesn't leave a lot for those actors to do anything with. But like
Yeah.
it is kind of true. Like it that Backrooms honestly should be worse than it is, given like I that third act I think is really I think it's really bad. And like bad in it's just it feels very disconnected to the first two thirds.
Yes.
Like it feels like you can almost see the tension of people on set, maybe the producers, Kane, the writer, studio, like all kind of being like, well, it needs to have this, it needs to have this, and the third act feels like a compromise of what was happening before, and A24 not probably, and maybe just the studio writ large not feeling confident that they could just do a like psychological thriller horror situation where like the big third act is them maybe being that dinner scene and being in the back rooms and her just trying to get out without some huge like amalgamation of his mind chasing after her. Like the other thought I had, and I don't want to fall into the rabbit hole too much. The other thought I had was like they kept introducing these ideas of like her mom and her backstory and obviously some of
They
her
never
house
they
and
never go back on it.
yeah, and I thought maybe that the ending was kind of like pointing to that like she's been here before and some of these things or these anomalies or these entities are going to start that are going to start coming after her are going to be from her mind or from her memory or from when her mom potentially got in or something. And I don't need that like I don't think that needs to be like tied back because like you introduce something so it has to be addressed. But I do find it strange that like it just they bring it up and then it's nothing. Like it all we get like that end scene with her sitting in the chair in what looks like a version of her old house. And to me, I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
like
because they also
it.
hint like the scene before that, Mark Duplass is like, or Mary's like, "Oh, do I get out of here?" And honestly don't remember what Mark Duplass's character is called, so I'm just calling him Mark Duplass. But he's like,
Scientist,
yeah,
scientist number one.
scientist number one. He kind of alludes to like, no, you're not getting out of here, and then we get straight into that scene where we see her in the chair. So yeah, I don't know. The ending felt very sequel baity, but it works because now I want to see a sequel.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
I feel like this movie needs a sequel.
and I that was the other thing. Like it was strange because some when I would talk about it with some people, and even when like I think about it, it's like it's not like I disliked it at all, right? Like it how we're talking
Yeah,
about the third act, you would think like, oh man, they didn't like this or they
no,
hated it. It's
I
like
was
no,
at like a 9 out of 10 before that third act.
yeah, like I was into it. I am into it. I the fact that they got my biggest worry was that the backroom stuff was going to be boring or that
Oh,
there was going to
it
be
was so good.
nothing.
It did not disappoint.
Yeah. Yeah, like there was going to be nothing to it and that was my biggest concern and that didn't even happen, but the some of the other issues were um you know uh
The story
just script
stuff.
related. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was just script and story related. And I honestly that surprised me a little bit because I was like, there isn't going to be too much story, so that's probably a good thing, or it can be. Could also be a bad thing. Um, but then there's just like that third act just feels so
yeah.
weird
They tried to
compared to the
cram
rest of
in
the
too much
movie.
story into like a 30-minute frame,
Yeah, and
and I just
I,
don't think it really executed that well.
no, but I mean, hey, it's also making a ton of money.
Yes, I mean, well deserved
So,
too. I hope it makes a ton of money. I hope
and I
this
know
movie
I
and Obsession make a ton of money. So
And
it's
I
cool to
had
see.
seen that I had seen that A24, there had been reporting that they had been trying to like expand the kind of movies that they do. So like they want to be getting into like franchises. They want to be finding like things that they could make sequels to. And I think they hit the jackpot because you can do spin-offs and new characters, discovering it for the first time. I mean, we can potentially get
Different
it
levels.
seems like yeah, different levels. I don't think you cast Mark Duplass in that role if you're not bringing him back,
Yeah,
right? To do his own thing. So I yeah, I think at the bare minimum it's there's a lot of interesting ideas there. But
absolutely.
do we want to do final rating?
I gave it in the previous video. I gave it. Well, I'll stick to letterbox ratings. I gave it a 4 out of 10. Not 4 out of 10. 4 out of 5.
I was like
Four
four
out
out
of
of ten.
five.
I was like the letterbox going to be a two.
4 out of 5 on letterbox, and yeah, I don't think it necessarily deserves like, I don't know, because for me it's very tough because I enjoyed the first 2/3 so much that I don't feel like it necessarily deserves like 3.5 stars for me. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna stick with 4 out of 5.
Okay. I
Just because that
am
third act I think knocks off a point.
yeah, that third act really did do a number on my viewing experience. I do want
One
to
out of
see it
five.
again though. No, 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 no. I I gave it my letterbox review was 3 out of 5.
Okay.
And that is contingent on I want to watch it again
Yes.
because
I definitely
I
want to
don't
watch it
think
again.
yeah, like I don't ever get too hung up on like the rating itself, but like I was like between a 3 and a 3.5, and it was wholly dependent on how I would feel on rewatch for that third
Yeah.
act. Because my first experience was like, and I saw it by myself, so I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it right afterwards. But I left that theater and I was like, I don't know that I kind of almost hated the final 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But then when I started talking about it with others. I was like, you know what? Maybe I just need to see it again. Maybe I need to give it a
You
second.
know, it's funny. After I saw this movie with my girlfriend and friend, and as soon as we all got done watching it, this was like one of the first movies. I think we just talked about it for like an hour straight after, just directly on like, did you guys like that third act? And everyone's like, oh no. And I was like, okay, so I'm not the only one. Because initially, when I got out of the theater, I was like, I can't be the only one that's like that hates this last 20 minutes. And yeah, I think that was obviously, I've gathered that that's the conclusion. I think with most critiques about the movie is like just that final act. Um, but I actually, kind of going off what you said, I based it off my second viewing as well. I think I'm going to enjoy this more the second viewing. So hence why I gave it a 4 out of 5. But realistically, it's probably like more 3.5 out of 5.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So next
Ah,
movie, I just want to briefly talk about um my honestly, this is my sleeper of the year, Masters of the Universe. I was
we
surprised
are
how
officially
much.
past the horror section here, folks. All right.
If you made it this
We
far, just know you're a real one. Um, but yeah, Masters of the Universe is my sleeper pick of the year. I can't believe how much I enjoyed this. I was really excited going into it because I was kind of fanboying about He-Man. Um, I grew up watching the show, like a lot of people. Um, the 2002 Adventures, I think it's Adventures of He-Man. I forget the actual title. Whatever the
oh, I
2002 one
can't.
is.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of
Yeah.
the 2002 one.
So
Let me look it up while.
I was pretty excited going into this movie and I had an absolute blast. I think it doesn't take itself serious at all. I think it's very goofy, but I think that's honestly the strongest point of the movie is how goofy it is, how ridiculous some scenes are. I think Nicholas Galazine, I think is his last name. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong. Is an excellent choice for He-Man. I don't think you could
Yeah.
have gotten anyone else that could portray him any better than Nicholas did. Um, I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but Mr. Leto was excellent as
He
Skeletor.
who shall not be named.
He should not be named. He was
Uh,
excellent. He was definitely thirsty for He-Man in some scenes.
yeah,
And he
honestly,
did not shy.
no, I honestly for me with Masters of the Universe, I used to watch the original show growing up because it would just be like on.
Yeah.
And I remember having the same feeling. I was like, this is just so I didn't even know what was happening half the time. I thought it was just
No.
a lot of fun, a lot of dumb fun. And then I I think I only watched the first season of the 2002 show.
Yeah.
And I only recently got back into it when Kevin Smith's
Yep.
version came out because that caused
Revelations.
a whole, yeah, Revelations. That caused a whole discourse in and of itself. And I remember watching it and being like, I mean, I don't know, I kind of like it, but it's a
Yeah.
little different. But once in Masters of the Universe, once they get past, I didn't like anything on Earth. I don't know, I don't know if that
I
was
will say
something
I knew
that,
this movie was gonna work well for me when it's the it's the very first scene on Earth when he's at dinner like on that date with the
yeah.
girl and just like talk about so Skeletor so who's Skeletor?
That's
You
fair.
have to return the sword back to get to get to your hometown, and then he gets back to his apartment, and his buddy's like, "Well, maybe you shouldn't tell girls that you need to find a sword to get to your home into another universe." I thought that was pretty funny, and I knew right away
Yeah.
that this movie was going to be for me, because again,
Well, and
this is
I like
another,
that they showed all of the like the opening like
yeah,
scene of Skeletor like taking over Eternia and stuff, and I was like, see that uh, because it very quickly transitions to him on Earth, obviously telling the story to the girl, and then her being like, I have to take this actually, I gotta go, I gotta leave, because for me, I was like, okay, we're probably not gonna spend too much more time here, because like we can't keep doing the shit of like he can't keep talking about some other planet and
and
a
they
sword
actually
and
they actually don't waste that much time on
no,
Earth
no,
at
they don't.
all. And they don't do scenes because that was my biggest fear, honestly, going into this movie. When I saw the initial trailer, I thought it was gonna be like I don't know, like a Pixels or something like that. Remember that Adam Sandler movie
Oh
that
my
came out in
God.
2015? Yeah, I thought it
Yeah.
was gonna be one of those where they're like all these what are they, like physical media or whatever you want to call it, pop culture is like coming to Earth. I didn't want it to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
also like Skeletor coming to Earth and stuff, and that was like kind of what I picked up on the initial trailer. But they did the exact opposite. You only get on Earth for maybe like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. He gets the sword pretty
And,
quickly, and yeah,
and
they don't waste
then
any time at all.
and they go to save him. And that's well, I guess he gets attacked and that's why they go to save
Yeah,
him. But and spoilers, I guess, spoilers for anyone who has not seen Masters of the Universe, which I don't even think is playing in most theaters now because
yeah.
it spoiler alert, did not make any money.
Unfortunately, but I do
Unfor
think it benefits from being an Amazon film.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
they
going to
don't
make
care
up for
about the
all
box
that
office.
lost revenue. I think they
Yeah,
did not give a shit about how much money it was going to make because they know it's going to make a boatload of money on Amazon.
yeah. Then apparently, Travis. I didn't realize that Travis Knight is a nepo baby.
Yeah,
And apparently also
and a
Bezos is a
rapper,
huge yeah, a rapper.
which I did not know
And
about.
I didn't know that either until after I watched this movie and I saw headlines like that. And I was like, what do you mean the guy who did? Is that why he was able to do Bumblebee and all these other? Because he Travis Knight has done a couple like Kubo and the Two Strings. I love Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yeah,
Didn't make a ton of money. Bumblebee also was like worse box office wise than some of the other Transformer movies.
it's a
And then
sleeper
he
hit.
yeah, and a sleeper hit. Like I like Bumblebee, and then like Masters of the Universe, I saw that he was the director on it, attached to it, and I was like, how is he getting these projects? Where like I
Yeah,
feel like any other director, they'd be like, hey, look, so you got to make something for like 2 million, okay, and then we got to get our money back before we give you something else. But apparently Bezos is also, our favorite corporate overlord, is a big fan of the He-Man universe and Masters of the Universe in general. So if the man who has the money doesn't really care, then we're probably getting. I also thought it was strange that they put two post-credit scenes. I thought that
yeah,
was. I was like, wow, you guys really. Okay, they're definitely doing at least one more sequel.
yeah. Oh no, they're definitely doing another sequel. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I just can't believe how much. I don't know. I was smiling the entire time. I mean, there's never a dull moment. Um, it's even they spend a lot of time on not a lot of time, but they do spend some time on talking about masculinity in this movie a lot. I was surprised by
Hmm.
like a lot of the themes that it presented. Um, yeah, just honestly like my sleeper hit of this year. I really enjoyed it. Um, not surprised it didn't make any money at all, but I definitely think it's gonna make up for a lot of that lost revenue in streaming. I saw it
Was
twice, so I really,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
really enjoyed it.
You're
Same
like,
score for both times,
it
but
it's only making 35 million and I'm gonna be at least.
Yeah,
We're gonna bump that baby up to 36 on
we're bumping
opening
up to
weekend.
$35 million and $12.
Like, I was gonna ask, was there anything that you wish they did differently? Was there anything um, that didn't feel right? Anything that you
Yeah,
didn't
I
vibe
guess
with
my
when you were watching it?
I guess my favorite scene is the initial um, transition scene of He-Man. I think that scene
Yeah.
rips.
Oh,
It is
that's
so
oh,
cool.
it's great.
It's
It's
so,
incredible.
it was honestly it was more peak on the second time viewing it. I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what I came to go watch. Maybe I wish they spent more time in his like He-Man suit because
Okay.
they do. It does take a while to pick up when he does
It does.
when he transitions. But other than that, it's not a masterpiece by any means. You know, I could talk about days of how much the dialogue isn't the strongest, or it's not cinematic by any means. It's not an Oscar winner by any means. But I think it knew its identity,
Yeah.
and that's just being a fun, goofy, outlandish action comedy. And it's all for the people that grew up on the. I feel like this movie was for people that grew up in the '80s, and I think they deserve to see like a faithful adaptation of the movie. Um, my uncle, who's a massive Masters of the Universe fan, I think he's seen the movie 7 times already.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, I know a lot of the '80s heads are loving the movie so far.
That was really my theater was, I want to say, I might have been the youngest person in the theater. And I wouldn't, I'm not old by any stretch, but I'm a big 2'8" now, and I'm like, you
Yeah,
would think that some people would bring like I don't want to say their kids, but like, I don't know, teenagers, or maybe like, early 20s or something. But I was really surprised. Most people in my theater were Gen X, uh, kind of my brother. My brother is in his 40s now. Like, they were just older, and I
yeah,
was I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay. Right, and the theater was like half packed, and I was like, "Ooh, this is not going to be you," because it was like a fan screening thing, and I'm like, "Ooh, if the fan screening is only like half open,
yeah,
and people
yeah.
love these things, they give you a poster, they do a little thing beforehand for fans," and I was like, "Oof, not good if the folks here are half full." But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say my biggest. I really liked it. It honestly just surprised me more than anything else. Because right before I walked into the movie, I saw that it was 2 hours and 25 minutes. And I was like,
It
oh
is
no.
long. You kind of feel that run time a little bit, but I don't know. The second time, I didn't really feel it as much. Ironically, like the first
Well,
time I watched it, I felt that run time a lot. It just felt very heavy. But that second time, when you kind of they they go through scenes like that, like it is
they
scene
do.
after scene. It does not slow down the pace at all.
Well,
In
I was
fact,
gonna
maybe
I
the
was gonna
beginning's
say
like the only time where it really like slows down. But yeah,
I was gonna say the I saw that it was 2 hours and 25 minutes, but then I didn't feel that really, like, well, once they get off of Earth, I should clarify. The Earth stuff, I was really like, I thought it was like fine. I thought there was obviously some funny scenes. I thought his roommate was funny. Um, but I was kind of like, oh my God, I don't want to be here. It's like, when are we getting to Eternia? But once they get there, I thought the movie was flying. And that surprised me more than anything. I was like, oh, this is a lot of fun, and like the action, I think, gets progressively better. Like, or at least it gets more stylized than like how it starts off. My only like real complaint I would have is basically every other character that we're introduced to in Eternia, like Tila, and I can't remember Tila's dad's name, but his trainer.
yeah, I can't
Um,
remember.
like once we get to like the band of other characters, they kind of don't have like arcs. Like we're introduced to like Tila's dad is like on a redemption arc, but then he doesn't really get that moment.
Yeah,
Like he
that scene.
does, but it's quick.
Yeah, I mean, you
Uh,
also have that. I think you can also see that flaw with like Adam's like mom as well.
oh
Like they
yeah,
try
she's
to
a
introduce
complete
her, like
afterthought.
they that scene kind of pissed me off like the second time I watched it because um Adam reunites with her after like 15 years, and he's just like, oh, okay, I gotta go save the
Yeah,
world now. See ya.
yeah, his dad they make it this big thing that like he hasn't seen his parents and he thinks they might be dead and then he finds his dad and then his dad dies and it's like this big thing. But then in the back of my head, honestly, even when his dad dies, I'm like, well, isn't his mom still around?
Yeah, and he doesn't
Right?
even. He did not care.
He does. It wasn't even like a big moment. Like they see each other and then the next scene is them game planning what
Yeah,
they're gonna do, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess does he not care?
yeah.
Does that mean we shouldn't care?
I
But
do like how they didn't explore relationship between Adam and Tila.
yeah.
I was very glad that she rejected him in the
Well,
one scene as friends. That could have hurt
especially
this
because
movie
she
a
doesn't
lot.
have, yeah, because she doesn't have anything to do either, really.
Yeah,
Like she's kind of just there, and when they were doing like, because they obviously have chemistry, right? And there's some, I think there's obviously some implied romantic tension. But I was like, oh no, let's. I was like,
yeah,
she's got to be like her own like
yes,
thing because basically like any scene where it's not He-Man talking to someone, everyone kind of like leaves the scene. It's almost like NPC-ish where like they deliver some sort of information and then he's like, you guys should talk. Then they get up and they go like into the background and like if you're watching the movie, you're not really paying attention, but like you can kind of see them like not really doing anything in the back. And she also doesn't really have an arc either. Like
yeah,
she finds Adam, she brings him back, and that's kind of that's it. That's what she does when she fights with him. Um,
yeah,
I-
yeah. That was one thing. I was glad that I think it could have really hurt this. Honestly, it could have hurt the whole movie because it
yeah,
could have made it about this trope of like their relationship and he's trying to save their relationship or something like that. Um, Even though he didn't give a shit about his parents, but
yeah.
who's to say he's gonna give a shit about his relationship? But
So
yeah, I was glad that they went that direction. I think Travis and I understood the assignment on that one.
he
And then we
did.
also didn't get as much Battle Cat, which I was disappointed by. But you know what?
Yeah,
Maybe for the
honestly though,
sequel.
I mean, what did you think of the voice acting for it? My cat
Uh,
just moved my computer.
I thought it was okay. It was he was kind of funny a little bit. I mean, you only get a few lines. You get like 5, 7 lines,
Yeah, yeah.
so there's not much you really get. But you know, I thought it
Some of
was
those
charming.
lines, yeah, some of those line reads, I was like, huh. I was like, okay, maybe this is why there's only a couple lines. Because I was like, I don't. Maybe it'll be better when there's just more for him to do. I also thought though, like I thought the action scenes when like or the fight scenes were really great. Anything though where like like they're moving through these CG environments, I thought looked really bad. Like
That one
when they're
flying scene is a little rough to get
yeah, the
into.
flying scene's rough, and honestly, the scene with him riding, um, oh my God, what's his
Ranger.
tiger's name? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like when he's riding Ranger, it looks rough.
It's just one of
It
those
looks really rough.
that's CG. Yeah, yeah. But
Um,
I think besides those critiques, really fun movie. Obviously it's not doesn't take itself seriously. It's very goofy. Um, I gave it 4 out of 5 just based on that of how much I enjoyed watching it. I think 4 out of 5 can also like mean a bunch of different things. It can mean it's
yeah,
cinematically
the
good. For me, it was 4 out of 5 based on enjoyment factor. How much I enjoyed the movie. How mutic fun is it cinematically? It's maybe like 2.5 out of 5. Like it's not, it's not an Oscar winner by any means, but it's still a solid film.
Well, I don't even necessarily like to your point. This is why I always tell folks because some people will look at my ratings for certain things and they'll be like, "You gave this 4.5, but you gave this 2, or you gave this 3," or like, and I'm like, don't get hung up on the rating too much, because to your point, they it does mean different things. Like I gave Masters of the Universe 3.5 stars out of 5 on Letterbox, and like. And but then someone will look at my Backrooms review or something. They'll be like, "You only gave Backrooms 3, and that one's doing more thematically, and there's more
Yeah.
interest." And I'm like, "It's they're apples and oranges." If you read what I say, or if you watch what I say, or you listen to this or something, it's like they're doing very different things for me. To your
Ratings can be
point,
very subjective.
yeah, like the ratings don't really matter. Free yourself from the chains um
Yeah.
of the rating system. Like I'm just putting one there because that's um that's what we do. That's what we do when we watch movies. But like Masters of the Universe was a ton of fun. It has really good stylized action. The characters are a little thin, but like it's Masters of the Universe. They were never really that deep to begin with.
Yeah.
So like as long as it's like compelling, the action's good, they get the He-Man moments right when he
Oh yeah.
transitions. That
Does
that
not
shit looks
disappoint.
incredible.
It
Yeah,
is so
like
good.
it is really, really good. And honestly, I would just rewatch it for that. Like I'd be
You know
like,
what's funny? I
yeah,
said the same exact thing. I could rewatch that scene like 10 times in a row. It's that good.
yeah. So good movie. It was also something nice to kind of break up. I was on a bit of a horror kick, and everything I was watching was super depressing or creepy and stuff. And I was like, let me go watch. Let me go watch something that I don't need to think too much about.
Watching movies about trauma, grief,
The
isolation. You'll
losing
switch it
your
up to something fun.
autonomy. um,
Yeah,
like
nice kick of things. So, um next couple movies I actually have not seen besides Leviticus. So Leviticus is my last um movie that that we shared we both have watched. I have not seen Disclosure Day yet, and I have not seen
okay.
Toy Story 5 yet. So those are two movies. I'm going to eventually watch Toy Story 5. I'm hearing mixed things about Disclosure Day.
It's
Um,
yeah, it's very
I'm
the
curious to
discourse
see
is
what you thought, if I should go check it out or if it's just worth streaming
well,
at this point.
I'll give quick thoughts for both. Disclosure Day, I said this in my review too. Disclosure Day is going to entirely depend on two things, your relationship to Spielberg and I think your own view of the world, your morality and like how you interact with like all the things that happen in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
And that makes it sound like really grand and big, but the third act is it's I stayed out of the discourse before I went to go see it, but the third act does things that really worked for me, but I can see why it doesn't work for others. And people keep calling him, out of touch, and it's such a boomer take, and this and that, and it's I think the movie lends itself to like you either give way to what these characters are doing and what he's trying to say, or you don't. And if you don't, I don't know if you're going to enjoy Disclosure Day.
Yeah.
If you do, I think there are some really interesting things happening in that third act that, like, at least for me, definitely got me emotional in the theater. Um, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff happening, despite everyone boiling it down to like what I think is kind of simplistic. But I think it's worth seeing. I mean, it's a Spielberg. I'm not gonna
Absolutely.
the I was lucky enough to see it where he was doing a Q&A at the theater, and I was Cloud9, top 10 experience. So maybe that colored it a little bit too. But I'm also a big Spielberg
I mean,
fan.
yeah, that'd be
I,
pretty surreal to see Spielberg talk right in front of you.
yeah, so like I do think definitely worth seeing. You don't need to see it in any sort of premium format or anything like that. Like it's shot on 35 millimeter, and I saw it in an IMAX theater only because that's where they were doing the Q&A. But you're not missing anything. And then for Toy Story 5, I got into a Twitter spat.
I did, I saw.
Some lovely people.
Which, by the way, I
I
completely agree with your take. I
well,
mean,
I'm gonna rant for just 2 minutes.
go for it.
My biggest thing with that, and I will talk about Toy Story 5, but my biggest thing was that in typical Twitter fashion, no one engaged with what I actually said. Everyone got upset with me for saying they got upset about something that was never said. I never talked about the quality of the current films or Toy Story 5. All I said was that these movies only exist because they make $1 billion each, which
That's
is just objectively true.
that's objective. Joker 2 is the prime example of that.
Yeah,
Like,
like
you
we
can
all like
Avatar. Like, if a movie makes $1 billion, they're gonna make sequels. I mean, it's just an idiotic, business move to. Okay, we made $2 billion. Let's not make a sequel. Let's not make
yeah,
any
let's
merchandise or movies at all. Like, no.
let's not ever do this ever
If a
again.
movie makes, like I said, or why am I saying like I said, like you said, uh, Toy Story 5. If it makes $1 billion, they're gonna make six. If six makes $1 billion and is critically acclaimed, they're gonna make
They're
seven.
gonna make
They're
seven.
not gonna stop until there's, and maybe they might make spin-offs of different characters or whatnot. They're still gonna make them in the
Which
same vein. Like, it's still gonna be something Toy Story related until it flops in the box office, because why not? They know it's gonna be a quick
that's
buck every single
and
time.
like I just don't I'm not I'm genuinely I'm never going to be someone who like if there's I'm not even someone who's like, oh, there's a plan in place and you need to have all these things figured out for the story, and like that's not how good storytelling happens. But like if there's an idea there, if there's and I maybe this would have saved it probably wouldn't have saved me from the internet, but I do think Toy Story 5's premise is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, like the idea of tech coming into their lives and like how does that define play and like that's interesting. That's like I again, objectively, I think that's an interesting idea. But I don't know how you divorce the reality that like they genuinely we've only got I like four, but like we've only gotten four and now five because they've made $1 billion.
I'm
That's
gonna be
why we're getting
I'm
them.
gonna be honest. I think the first three are perfect. I think three is a perfect movie. I think they should have stopped at three. I was
Yeah.
very, very surprised when they announced Toy Story 4. But that was during that
Well,
renaissance of, okay, we're making every sequel. We're making Finding Dory. We're making Incredibles 2. That was, that
yeah, it's when it's
2015 to
they were
2019 Disney range when they started just making sequels to everything.
yeah, and like it's you know, if folks want to see the rest of what happened on that thread, I didn't fare well, despite, trying to don't be
You're never,
nuanced on the
you,
internet, folks.
you can make the best points in the world, and it's film Twitter's never gonna back down.
No, but Toy Story 5 though, and I know you haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers. It's the first time that I felt like worried about how they're going to keep bringing all the characters that they bring into the movie back.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing. It seems like in these new sequels, like each main character is getting their own movie. So like Jesse is like the main focus in this movie. They're talking about Toy Story 6 and they say Buzz is going to be the main focus there. That's a fine approach. My the only This will be the only thing I say, and it's not a spoiler by any stretch of the means because it's in the trailer. Woody being back is part of the problem of Toy Story 5 because where Toy Story, I really really like Toy Story 4. I think it works on a lot of different levels, and that's because it doesn't negate what 3 is. It doesn't like cheapen the ending of 3. Like 4 is about Woody dealing with actually being on his own and not having to be like the guy who keeps the gang and Bonnie together, right? Like that doesn't negate anything that's happened. With Toy Story 5, the fact that he can kind of just show up is like, what's the point of 4? Like the whole point of 4 is that they are going to be okay without each other and they need to learn to be okay without each other. But that's not the case in 5 because in the trailer, the first thing they show is Woody, you're back. And it's like, and when you, and for folks, and for when you watch the movie, I don't
Mhm.
think they do enough to justify it. So, but I do think, there's still a lot of good in it though. Definitely go watch it and then
Good. Yeah,
we'll,
it's on my watch list. My buddy, why am I saying my buddy? Our other host, Ethan, on the Slashcast podcast. Um, he just watched it, and we're actually gonna rewatch all of them. So stay tuned because we're doing a whole Toy Story in depth.
ooh.
I guess not trilogy. What's 5 movies? I guess franchise at this point.
Yeah, just yeah,
Toy Story
we're in the
franchise.
franchise era, baby.
Because we even have Lightyear. I keep forgetting.
Oh God,
I completely
that one, yeah, that one's atrocious.
yeah.
I
But
don't.
I don't even consider. I don't know that one. It's weird.
It's a weird movie.
I don't know what they were
Yeah,
really thinking with
yeah.
that one, but
If you want an additional host, I would gladly
yes, yeah, oh yeah, we'll definitely have to
talk
have you on.
through.
Um,
Um,
and kind of leaves us off to our final movie that we both have seen. The last movie I saw it this weekend was Leviticus.
yes.
Phenomenal. I think it's my second favorite horror movie this year. I think it's obviously right behind Obsession. Really great queer romance horror film. Um, that if you guys have a screening near you, I highly recommend you go check this out to support this movie. It's about kind of run down the whole plot. It's about two boys in this conservative Christian town. Um, if you guys listen to Ethel Kane, I think you guys will really like really like this movie. That's all I was thinking about when I was watching this. I was like, man, this feels like I'm listening to or watching an Ethel Kane song right now. Um, um, but it's about yeah, two boys in a conservative Christian town, and they're both falling for each other. And I don't know if this is necessarily a spoiler, but the town finds out about their romance, and they bring in a conversion therapist. I want to say I don't really know what the correct term would be. I'm gonna go with that.
It's yeah, it's that
I don't think he was a
that's
priest, but he was like a I don't know
well, he
what he
said he
was.
was a priest.
Okay.
Um, but they, yeah, for folks who haven't seen the movie, I mean, watch it and then you'll you
Yeah.
can come back and tell us what you think that falls under. I think it's the conversion priest therapist whatever is
Ritualist something.
ritual.
Um
All of this is in the trailer too.
yeah.
So this is
Yeah,
again,
no
it's not
spoilers.
these are not spoilers.
And they so after they perform a ritual, and in this ritual there something sinister that wakens up, and it's about um a entity that takes the form of what you desire most, which in this case is each other. And yeah, I absolutely loved this movie. I was very skeptical going into it. I saw it was getting good reviews, but I saw on, and this is why you should never listen to people on Twitter. I think that's the lesson of this podcast. Never listen to people on Twitter. I kept seeing mixed things about it, which was a little disappointing. Um, and I went into, finally found a screening, and I really enjoyed this movie. I think I was very fearful they were gonna shy away from some of the romance aspects, but I consider this almost romance first over horror. I think
Yeah.
it's romance infused horror, and I was glad that they went into that direction. I think the script is really strong. The only critique I think I could have is maybe almost the opposite of what we said about Obsession, is that they could have maybe spent more time exploring different elements about the entity, and spending more time of them avoiding each other. I think the runtime maybe hurts itself a little bit. I think this movie could have benefited from like 25, 30 extra minutes. It's a really short movie. It's only 80, 88 minutes. Um, but other than that, that's my only critique. I think it has a really good um, message about homophobia in organized like environments. I think it has a really strong message about um, the fear of letting go, and um, yeah, it's my surprise movie so far of this month. I really enjoyed it, and I hope more people go check it out because it deserves a lot of money in the box office.
No, it doesn't. It honestly, it sucks that it came out the same weekend that Toy Story did,
Yeah,
because that is just a juggernaut. I think the projections were it made 312 million worldwide
it's
this
crazy.
weekend.
Yeah,
But Leviticus, I think, is also doing well relative to its budget. I think it was made for under 1 million, and I
yeah.
think it brought in like four this weekend.
Oh, that's good.
So that's it's solid. I similar feelings to Leviticus. I think definitely my second favorite horror film from this year, and I'm just trying to think through if there's any other horrors from this year that have come out between besides Backrooms and
Primate,
Obsession, but I they're not coming to mind. So if they are, yeah,
primate.
Primate, don't forget Scream 7, all right?
I still haven't watched
Barely
it
a
yet.
slasher movie. I mean, I wish I just threw it on because it was on streaming, and oh man, it was bad. But it's yeah, it's that my Scream 7 take is Scream 7 is what everyone thinks Scream 3 is.
Yeah,
It's awful. But Leviticus, yeah, similar feelings. I think probably my second favorite horror of the year. I I think because it's romance first, and like Joe Bird and Stacey Clausen have to sell their relationship, it makes it makes the rest of the movie, I think, work, at least for me, because you the whole runtime I was kind of because it's hard not to for it to shake the It Follows comparison,
yeah.
because it very much is like a queer It Follows,
Hmm.
even though we've yet to see what they're going to do for They Follows, which comes out I think next year. And like it's hard to shake like that central idea, because to your point, they don't really do a ton with like the premise outside of that. Like once the thing happens, like once the entity is like attached to them, that's pretty much the rest of the movie. But like inter what's like kind of intertwined between all those like horrific scenes is their love story and them being drawn to each other, and like they're in this isolated suburban town where they can't trust anyone, and the only people they can really turn to are each other, and it's like really sweet. And there's a scene where like they're on the bus together, and honestly, it was probably the most tense I felt throughout the whole movie, because like there's like this tension where like you don't really know if it's them,
Yeah.
or like the person that they're actually with, but they have like a really nice moment together, and it's like kind of sexy, and it's they're having a very intimate moment, and like those are the moments that like sold it for me,
Yeah.
because once we get to the end, where shit is kind of hitting the fan a little bit, it it reminded me a little bit of Bones and All,
Yeah, no, I
Not
can see
even
that.
though those endings are obviously very different, but just like these like star-crossed lovers and like a
They're like doomed lovers.
yeah,
I think
they're
it,
doomed. They're
yeah, because I really feel like it plays into that. I, I want to put up a spoiler warning, but I won't.
well,
But
we could say it now and then, edit it to the top.
yeah,
Spoilers. Spoiler
spoiler
warning. We're gonna
alerts.
talk spoilers.
But I think the last scene is very powerful because he has that conversation with his mother about how fear drives us to be better souls or better versions of ourselves, and I think he's so corrupted by that sense of fear that in order to, in his mind, beat this entity is to let go of it, let go of this fear of them being something when everyone else is saying the opposite. And I really love that last scene of him letting go of that fear of them being together. They're on the bus together, and I think it was very important to show the other entity
Yeah,
of Hunter. Wait a minute, is that the right name?
for mm,
Ryan. I don't know
Ryan
why.
and
I'm thinking too
Naim
much of
and
Ethel Kane now.
yeah, no, Ryan and Naim
Yeah, name.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah, they kept saying name, and I was like, is that it can't be spelled Name.
yeah,
But it's Naim or Naim.
yeah. I think I was
Um,
impressed because this movie could have gone wrong in so many different ways.
yeah, and it also could have been like 2 hours, you know, like they and I it does benefit from being tight in its runtime, like the and that's yeah, like to what you said before of like the concept, they don't really do much else with the concept,
No,
like
they don't.
it's kind of like once they do the thing, like that's it, and
Similar,
the rest of
similar
the
to
film,
Obsession.
yeah, like the rest of the film hinges on these like intimate moments between Naim and Ryan, and then Naim and when he has that conversation with his mom, and the big reveal in the movie where like or I don't know, I don't want to make it sound bigger than what it is, but like it is a reveal that like she knew exactly what she was doing,
Yeah.
that like it was going to attach this thing to him, and for him that's like the light bulb on moment. I need to leave. I actually need to try to get out of here with Ryan
And there's
because
another scene too where he goes, "What did they tell you?" She doesn't answer.
yeah.
And that's something I was thinking about. Like after I saw the movie, I'm like, okay, I actually wonder. I kind of want to like hear some lore about this ritual. What exactly it is? What is the exact purpose? Because the way the mother makes it seem is to be like it's there to protect you when it's clearly not. And but it also, I think this movie's also very straightforward with the theme. It's supposed to make you fear the person that you love.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, it's engraved with homophobic, like a homophobia. That's the main overall message of the movie. Um, which I was yeah, I was glad that the director took this route. It felt like it was like a queer exorcist movie. I guess is the best way to
Yeah.
describe it. Um, and I thought it was unique. It's very original. Yeah, it's not a long movie at all. An hour and 20 minutes. I think, like I said, maybe it could benefit from an extra 20 minutes if you really want to expand upon the lore of the entity and the ritual and some of those elements. But other than that, I don't really have any complaints for this movie. I thought it was really well done. Performances are excellent of Ryan and Name. Obviously we know Joe Bird
Yeah, they're really
from
good.
Talk to Me.
Hmm.
So this is his second horror movie, and I didn't realize he's only 19 too. So he's pretty young. He's gonna have
Yeah.
some good roles coming up. That's an insane two
One can
movies to
hope.
have on your filmography. Um, and for the director, this is his debut film. So I think overall, I think we should be applauding these people just as much as we are Obsession. It deserves all of its flowers too.
It absolutely does. So go see it if it's
Yeah,
playing by you. If you know
it's
the
tough to
theaters
find,
haven't.
but yeah, go
I
check it out.
know we we're lu we're lucky that we have some independent theaters near us, but
Absolutely, absolutely.
the it is worth it. It's
I just wanted
110% worth
to
it.
end off with a movie that you're looking forward to coming to watching coming up.
Oof. The summer's packed with them. The one I am most excited for, and it premiered at Cannes, and it's going around the festival circuit, and everyone's watching it, and it's not me,
I know
is
which
Teenage
one.
Sex and Death at
Yes.
Camp Miasma, or Miasma, however they pronounce the camp name.
Yeah,
But
I think that's the big one for most people. Yeah.
yeah, like I've heard it is completely outrageous and surreal, and there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of sex in it. That makes a ton of sense to me. But
A lot of Gillian Anderson.
I, yeah, a lot of Gillian Anderson and Hannah Einbender doing some very weird stuff. I think that's the thing I'm most excited for,
Yeah.
even though there's a lot of good stuff that's still yet to be released.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to?
Um I'm looking forward to Camp Miasma. Obviously, I think that's number one. I think the other one I'm gonna give is I'm actually wearing the shirt now, but uh
Oh, there we go. I
Supergirl.
forgot that that was coming out
I'm
this.
excited for Supergirl. I'm very fearful of what it's gonna make in the box office. I don't think it's looking too hot
I
right now, but I really, from all the reviews I've been watching, early reactions, I think people are saying it's pretty good. So I'm very hopeful. Um, I think some of the marketing choices they're doing with Lobo though are a little questionable. I don't know if
It's a
you've
little
seen the
strange.
popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
So
I hate the popcorn bucket stuff.
yeah,
I know it's like an extra revenue stream for the theaters or whatever, but I I don't care for it. Yeah, I share the same feeling with Supergirl. I can't say that I'm like excited. I'm more like worried. Like I'm
yeah,
gonna go see it. Like I love Millie Alcock as Supergirl, and you know House of the Dragon's back on tonight. So not that
yeah,
she's in the later seasons, but like I like her as an actor. But I am just worried because like the trailer didn't really excite me, and the there was an interesting thread from a Collider culture writer, Darren Mugi, or oh God, no, that's the Jets GM, Darren something, but writer at Collider had an interesting thread where he basically says that like there's been some reporting on this, but because of the Warner Brothers Paramount merger, that like Gunn is just trying to get movies made
yeah,
because he doesn't actually know, like basically to make the point that it may not matter
yeah,
that Supergirl makes what it makes. If it makes a ton of money, if it doesn't make a ton of money, if it doesn't make its money back, because anything that doesn't get made pre-merger just might not be
yeah. And
happening
I
at
think
all.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that because Superman Man of Tomorrow had a quick turnaround time.
Yeah,
I mean, they started
Gunn was
filming.
like,
Yeah, that's how I
Gunn
knew. I
delivered
was
the
like,
script, and then he was like, "Yeah, we're filming in 3 months."
that's why
Like,
I also think that's why, maybe this is a early prediction, but I think Pattinson's going to be in Clayface. I think they're going to show him as a cameo because I think they do. I think for James Gunn, your most important thing right now is introducing Batman. I mean, if you're going to make a
but
DCU, you need to introduce someone playing Batman.
yeah, I mean, he did say that, or at least Reeves and him have been consistently saying that they're not going to merge it. But
They
I mean,
haven't been
you know,
saying that, but I don't know.
yeah, like some of the some of the release choices have been a little weird with like to get a Superman makes sense, but to get a Superman and Supergirl, we have a separate Batman, not part of that universe, and then we're getting a Clayface movie. It's like that. Those are And I guess obviously we're getting the Green Lantern series,
Yeah.
but it's all a little strange with the rollout. And honestly, I think that lends credence to the idea that like I think they're worried they're not going to get anything made post merger.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, well, this is already in development. All right, let's
Yeah.
just get it done.
I was just very
But
surprised how quick that turnaround time of writing the scripts. It's already filming now, which is crazy. So,
yeah, so I mean, we'll see. I mean, we'll have to come back and talk Supergirl once it releases this week, right?
yeah,
Well,
this week.
I think so. It's a little crazy, but
Yeah, we are just flying through movies.
it's the summer is gonna uh, fly by, and
Yeah.
July is gonna be a rough month because I'm gonna be traveling for half the month, so
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna miss a couple things.
You're gonna miss Evil Dead Burn.
Oh God, another one
Yeah,
I'm worried about. I'm
I'm gonna
excited,
be
but
honest.
we.
I rewatched the trailer when I saw Leviticus. Man, is it bad? I, for me, I think it's completely missing the point of Evil Dead.
Yeah,
It does not feel
I
like an
don't.
Evil Dead movie at all. And I seem to be in the
It
minority with that case. Besides, I know you said you didn't really vibe with it either.
well, people keep saying, and we should do a video on it when it drops, but people keep saying I've seen some chatter about like early test screenings and like people comparing it to Evil Dead 2013, and I'm like, that's worst case scenario in
Yeah,
my head.
I'm
Um,
with you though on that one.
like I don't want that, and uh, you know, if that's the case, like at least Evil Dead Rise was like a new setting. We
But
got some.
it still felt like in the same vein of Evil Dead
Yeah,
1,
yeah,
Evil Dead
it's
2, even
like it
Army of
had a little bit more
Darkness.
humor. Yeah, it had a little bit more humor. They're definitely like the performance, like the Deadites were charismatic and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't, yeah, we'll
Evil
have to
Dead Burn
see,
just
but
feels like it's too serious, and I think that's what I mean when I say I think it's missing the point of Evil Dead.
yeah, I I am worried, but
Now,
I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna watch
Evil
it.
Dead Wrath, though, I'm hearing nothing but great things.
Kind of crazy that they finished filming it.
Yeah,
It doesn't come out till next
no,
year.
2028.
Oh, 2028
Yeah,
doesn't even come out next year.
I think it's gonna end up moving release dates. There's no way they're gonna keep it in the burner for 2 years.
It's a lot of post-production time,
Yeah,
so um,
we'll see.
we'll see. We'll be talking about it either way.
Yeah. Well, guys, that is everything that we wanted to cover on this episode. So, is there any final send-offs where we can find you, or anything else you want to leave to the audience before we sign off?
No, go watch Leviticus.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can find me on TikTok. It's just my name, Sam Tuero, or Sam Talks Movies on there. But I will be, we will be back to talk about
Yeah,
all things horror
we
because
might be
there's, I
back
think,
soon.
still like, we're gonna have a lot to talk about with Evil Dead. Hopefully, good things. Hopefully, good things.
Yeah. Comment below some of your favorite movies that you guys have watched recently or what you're excited for. So this was the Slashcast, and we'll see you guys next video.
See
Peace.
y'all.